Treasure comes in all forms. Greetings and welcome back to another fun and exciting episode of the Vodkast Does Dungeons and Dragons. I am your host as always, DMJ. With us today is something a little different. I went to a book sale the other day here in Lynchburg, Virginia, where I live, where they were selling hardcovers for $2, paperbacks for $1, and mass market paperbacks for 50 cents. Now that's an insane deal. It's crazy. I couldn't pass it up. I had to go. So I went first thing, 9 o'clock in the morning when they opened up on Friday morning. And the night before I had, I guess you could say it was a vision, maybe, perhaps a dream. I'm not exactly sure what you'd call it. But either way, I saw myself leaving this place with just arms full of Dungeons and Dragons material. And I was quite shocked to find quite a few things. Two of them I'm going to leave to the end here. But this video is going to be talking about the purchasing of Dungeons and Dragons books and how they not only are a rule set, but they can be used in many other ways. Kind of like this video right here where I talked about Dungeon Alchemist being more than just a map maker. It's really inspiration. And sometimes when I purchase books like this, it's not necessarily that I'm going to run a campaign setting or that I'm going to use the rule set, but I draw inspiration through every single book I've ever purchased. Now, I sold my collection of D&D stuff I had all the way back to the beginning. Lots of really good stuff. Tons of great stuff. Made a ton of money off of it. Was very happy at the time. Needed the cash to do whatever with. However, I've always regretted it. I don't need that stuff now. I've pretty much owned them all in PDF format. However, it is nice to see those books and flip through them. So that's why I kept some of my favorites, which of course is my original first player's handbook that I got when I first started playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. And I did keep a few of the Planescape things just because Tony DeTerlizzi, if you've never checked out his art, I'll try to remember to put a link in the comments below, is one of the most fantastic fantasy artists. I think he is so underrated for what he did. Planescape, let me get into this stuff and then we're going to talk about what bought what and why and who and whatnot. So let's start with this. I think this must have come in something. I don't think this is a standalone thing. It must have been part of a box set. I don't know. Maybe not though. There is a barcode. And the one thing I will note, I don't know if you guys are familiar with ISBN numbers, but I've worked in the book industry pretty much my whole life, either making books, writing books, or selling books, whatever it is. And so when I saw the 2, I knew that this wasn't from the United States. Most likely Europe, I think, is that region. I don't think it matters all that much, but it will become a mystery later in the episode. So this is just a Covers of Thieves Guild, and I thought it might be kind of handy if there was ever a time when I'm working on my Thieves Guild, the Black Hand, and Athalia, where I might be able to refer to some of the charts in here and maybe just make some random rolls to decide certain factors of the said guild. I'm going to move right along because there is a ton of stuff here. Actually, I don't know. I wouldn't say a ton, but a small mountain. So you'll see this slowly decrease and eventually disappear. The next one I found interesting also comes from the UK, it looks like. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below. I'm not sure. If the Solo Adventure Toolbox. I would never probably play D&D by myself. Like a video game, sure. But I don't think I would find the fun and excitement in playing D&D by myself. I want that role-playing aspect of working with my friends and stuff like that. Like right now I'm playing, I know I told you guys in this video here, a Jerboa, no, it's a Jerbean. They're Jerboa in real life. It's a rogue. And I'm playing it with my friend Artie. He's playing my grandson, not necessarily their Jerboa Jerbean get around. And so we're assuming he's my grandson. But like, that's the aspect of D&D I like, the interacting with other people, even if it is VTT or TTR, initials LGBTQT plus -3 countdown, go. But the charts in here is what I found fascinating, like an emotions table. So you got vengeful, malicious, disdainful, angry. There might come a time when I just want to randomize certain aspects of my game that I don't want to deal with. Sure, I could go online and do it, but this gives me inspiration to do some of the things that I normally wouldn't do. And it's something I do want to read. I think the idea of playing D&D by yourself is a little weird, but I don't know enough about it to judge it. So if you've ever done any solo D&D playing, let me know in the comments below. This next book is super exciting. I used to play a few of the White Wolf products. The first one I ever picked up actually was Wraith, and that's what I want to talk about. I never played Wraith. I made a Wraith character But Wraith inspired me to learn more about necromancy and about the undead. And in some odd and strange way, it gave me sympathy for the monsters that I use in the game because they are living creatures. Sure, we just throw them at the party. We throw 10 goblins at a party, but each of those are goblins that should probably have a family and friends. They hang out. They go to the bar together. You know, like it's not just a monster that's coming at you to steal your loot. There's a creature there. And I think with like Wraith and White Wolf, it kind of opened my eyes to that a little bit more. And so when I found Vampire, the Requiem. I've never played the Requiem. I remember Vampire the Masquerade, but this was a really dark cover and it looked interesting. And I thought for $1, literally $1, like everything you've seen so far has been $1 each at this book sale. I know that I can find things in here to add to my campaign. Vampires have always been a kind of a huge influence on my game because of this hero. I wrote a book once. It's called Morning Star. I'm embarrassed by it. I've written the second and third one, but never did anything with it. So he was a hero of my world. So this weirdly dark assassin turned vampire becomes the good guy that lasts for years and years, and his story still rings true through all the games I run today. You still will occasionally run into the name or characters that were in those books. And speaking of books, this is a sci-fi type deal. Esper of Genesis, heroic sci-fi role-playing is compatible with 5e. That was one of the things that I was really... There was a lot of books I didn't get that were Dungeons & Dragons related or role-playing related, but they just didn't have that 5e stamp on them. And I mean, honestly, I didn't want to spend a ton of money, but I didn't. I think $13 was the grand total on all of the books that I got. Yeah, I've always wanted to run like either a Star Wars or a postmodern type campaign, and that was the reason why I picked this up. For $2, it's in mint condition. Once again, this one I think I determined what was wrong with it, though. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the binding is way off. Like I can stick my finger in there, and this end, it's just flush with the end of the book, which I don't care. I mean, like I said, this is just one of the main reasons why I get these is for inspiration and ideas, and you don't have to like buy a $50 book and use it for its intended purposes. If you find something in there that you want to use in your games or that could be useful in your games or make your games more fun for your players, then I say go for it. And if it requires, you know, buying a $2 or $1 RPG book at a sale, then hey, you can't go wrong. Now this one, look at this. This is a doorstop right here. This is the 20th anniversary of Mage the Ascension, also by White Wolf. I don't know what I'll do with this exactly. It's not in my wheelhouse, but for $2, like I said, this is an insane steal. It's just so amazing. Like, wouldn't you like to just own this and just read it and take a look at it? And I mean, I don't know what I will draw from this to add to my game, but this one definitely stood out to me. It was one of the first ones that I saw, and I was like, holy crap, they actually do have role-playing books here at this sale. Because let me tell you, I'll show you a little video right now. That's where I was, and this is the actual first book that I picked up, and oddly enough, it's almost useless for gaming purposes for me because it requires the old school Essentials gaming system, which I'm not going to go out of my way to buy that. I might if there's a PDF or something, but I don't foresee myself actually running this. However, the thing that I thought was interesting about it after I started flipping through a little bit is it talks about gods and playing a god and becoming gods, and that's always been a factor in my game. I've had players in the past, a particular player, I won't mention his name specifically, but his goal was to become a god, and he failed in one reality, but in another reality, he did survive. This has got some really interesting information on gods and gods that dwell amongst men and their capabilities. And it's marked. How much is this? I think one of these was marked like $89.99 the cover price. So when you get a $90 book for $2, you don't turn that down. And this is another one that I don't know what I'll pull from it. Aegis of Empire Adventure Path. So this is just the Adventure Path. This is book 1. I'm not sure if I will ever go out of my way to buy book 2 or 3, but it covers a lot of things like the the population of this planet, locations, history. And I thought, it's almost like buying like one of those books that's like the history of things that never happened, or the dictionary of places that don't exist. Like, that's almost why I thought I could find a use for this. And like, oh, this is the one that was $89.99. And it is 5e compatible. So if I ever did try to integrate any of it with my game, it would be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, I want to talk about Planescape a little bit. My biggest regret is getting rid of the majority of my Planescape stuff. I had everything Planescape ever put out back in the 90s. I was enthralled by it. I was inspired by it, and it changed everything for me. What Planescape did for me is it removed my training wheels, and it opened up the multiverse to me. Like, I was running a little world that spun in this large black primordial goo, and that was it. That was all. Yeah, sure, there was gods out here somewhere. Maybe there was a moon that maybe someday a character would go to. But I never, in my wildest dreams, even began to imagine. The multiverse, the very first time I heard that term ever used was in this, it might have been in Planescape. I can't remember completely where I heard it first. But I feel like it is true to the word. Like, it made me realize, like, not only can I take players out of my world, but I can bring them into planes of existence that I never thought I could before. And these books are allowing me to do that. And it was Tony DeTurlizzi that really inspired me to get those. And then after I started digging into them and learning about sigils and the factions in Sigil and the Lady of Pain and all the Beastlands and the Outer, it drew me in. And my world was never the same after that, just because I bought a book that I really like the art for. So sometimes you can judge a book by its cover. I recommend the back cover because it's usually got a write-up of what's inside, and then that would make sense. And before we go too far, although I did not pick up any GURPS books here, I do want to mention that GURPS was one of those things that really introduced me to the variety and value of character design and the depth and the value of taking time in creating a character and a backstory. And after GURPS, I never made a character the same again, even in D&D with totally different rule set. Like, I started looking into the future and all the different feats or abilities that this character would have, or the archetypes that I'd be able to use. Interested in the 9 archetypes and my opinion of them, of the rogue? Check it out here. Okay. Last 2 books, and these are the ones that really brought a smile to my face. And I'm going to show you just both of them at once, because the Planewalker's Handbook and the Planes of Law, these were 2 of the books that I had that I got rid of. This is interesting to me in the sense that I don't think this is a book that was ever released on its own. This may have been broken into 3 books, if I'm not mistaken, in the box set that it came in, the Planes of Law. They may have just compiled it into one, but it does have its own ISBN starting with the 2 again. And this is the Planewalker's Handbook, which I was even more excited about. They had a few of these, but most of the other ones were damaged. Now, this one has a 2 ISBN starting in the beginning. However, if you look at the cover, I'm going to look at it over here. You like that? You like that cover? Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah, there it is again. But now it's not glossy. And not only that, the back of the book is repeated on the front of the book that is not glossy with an American ISBN starting with 978. So that is the mystery of them. I'm super excited to have the Planescape stuff back in my life, and even more excited about the inspiration that these other books are going to bring me as a dungeon master. To me, the most important thing is making sure that your players are having a grand old time and they want to come back every week, and they don't have to worry about getting players, oh, I got to brush my teeth, I got to wash my hair. I think it all comes down to being a great DM. And I don't want to sit here and pat myself on the back, but after 30 years, I feel like I'm pretty good at it. And so getting these can only add to it. So thank you guys for checking this episode out. If you guys are loving the content I'm creating as much as I love creating the content that you guys are watching, would you please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and hitting the little bell icon, because it'll let you know every time I put out a new video. Don't forget to make somebody smile today and make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today tomorrow. Let's make the world spin a little bit happier and a little bit more nerdier together. Let's sing and dance in the sun and in the rain as one, my brothers and sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every moment of it, because you just never know when that last moment's going to come for you. However, never live in fear of that moment. Always live in love, and never let your inner child die. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care of those around you who cannot take care of themselves, for they are the ones that need it the most. And if no one has told you today that they love you, the Vodcast loves you very much, just the way you are. All right, guys, do no harm. I'm Geycen Oliveira. This is the Vodcast, and I'll catch you guys a little bit further on down the road to 50. Take care, my friends, and happy adventuring.
Don't go to sleep with a catch it in your pocket.